If I put my business logo on the golf shirt, can I deduct the golf shirt as my business expense? And I bought all these expensive suits so that I can attract the right business clients. Can I deduct these as legitimate employee expenses? Well, the answer is it depends. I will show you exactly when it works and when it does not, so you keep more money in your pocket. Hi everybody, my name is Chen. I am a chartered professional accountant located in Oakville, Ontario, Canada, and I'm on a mission to become the Google map for hardworking Canadians seeking financial freedom. I help Canadians like you understand the tax side of small business and real estate, so you can keep more of your hard-earned money. Recently, I just read a Financial Post article about a tax court decision involving a Hope Renfield employee who tried to deduct clothing expenses. Her reasons? She was a commission-based saleswoman that specialized in selling high-end clothing. And it reminded me of the age-old question that I get all the time from small business owner clients, every single week almost, about clothing write-off. Well, here's what we will cover today. Clothes write-off for small business owners, and answer the age-old myth. I'm just going to put my company logo on my shirt so then I can write them off. Is that a legitimate comment? Is that a legitimate write-off? Well, I'm also going to cover the clothes write-off section for employees with the two pillars that they must meet in order for them to write off the expenses. But before I get started, hit the thumbs up if you like our video, and if you would like to get notified the moment I release my next video, make sure you hit that subscribe button. With that, let's get started. Now, first of all, for small business owners, including corporations, I always tell my clients, CRA is quite fair. The Income Tax Act General Deductibility Rule basically allows you to deduct any reasonable expenses, all reasonable expenses, for the purpose of earning a particular stream of income, subject to many exceptions. So many business owners argue, I incur the clothing expenses to enable me to build authority, close sales, attract the right customers. Therefore, I should be eligible to deduct them as a legitimate business expense. Well, the reality is, CRA has a long-standing position that if the clothes that you buy for business use purpose can also be used for personal purposes, chances are they won't qualify as business deduction. So small business owners out there, you might wonder, well then what's the point of having this video? What would actually qualify me to write off the clothing expense? Well, there are a few examples that I can share with you. The first one is protective clothing. Think steel-toed boots, high visibility vests, hard hats, safety gloves. These are clearly work clothes and work clothes only, and these are prime examples of what you can deduct. Another example is true uniform. Standardized items that are work only and required on shift. Think chef coats or branded tops that staff must wear, or even think about the hospital uniforms that the staff must wear. Put this in a short written policy and for sure you'll get all the clothes deductions expense passed. Now, the third example I can give you is the client giveaway. Now, you may choose to put your logo on different golf shirts or hats, and these branded shirts or hats that you give to the prospects or customers are tax deductible. Treat these as advertising or promotion expense in your bookkeeping records. But interesting enough, when I was doing research for this video, CRA also cited that if you're a singer, your performing clothes, your performance clothes, can be capitalized as capital assets and deductible over a period of time to offset against your income. Now, you may wonder, as a small business owner, what does not qualify? Well, regular streetwears, suits, dresses, polos, shoes, even if you say you only wear them at work, CRA usually treats them as personal. So then you may say, hey, I'm putting the logo, my business logo on these golf shirt that I'm wearing. I am advertising everywhere. I'm the walking billboard. I should be able to write off my golf shirt. The reality is that CRA said, unfortunately, just branded clothes alone is not enough. Having the logo on that clothes and you're wearing it everywhere does not mean that you are required to do that because you're wearing the same shirt. Essentially all for personal purpose as well. Now, if you or your staff wear normal polos with a small logo, it is still personal. If you give those shirts to customer as well, That is advertising and promotion. And you can keep the invoice and note the event and the quantity and write it down on the invoices, specify which event it is related to. And if you issue true uniforms that are clearly work only and require on shift, the cost is definitely a business expense. Make sure you keep the policy and also the receipts, obviously. Now, let me give you some numbers and examples. First example, owner wear. You create a 4-logo polo shirt at $60 each for yourself, and it's ordinary shirts, you wear it everywhere, deduction is 0, unfortunately. Now, as another example, if you are buying 50 logo shirts for client swag at $60 each for your spring expo, all 50 was handed out, the deduction is $3,000 as advertising or promotion expense. Keep the supplier invoice and a note that says Spring Expo giveaway 50 shirts. Now, third example, staff uniforms. Standardized tops with large branding that staff must wear on shift. Deduction is definitely allowed. Keep the policy and the receipts. Okay, now enough about small business owner clothing deduction. Let's switch gear to employee clothing deduction. You might be thinking, well, I am just like this whole Renfrew sales ladies. I buy all these clothes for the purpose of earning my employment income. I am in sales. I need to dress up nicely, and therefore I should be eligible to deduct the clothing expenses, the high-end clothing expenses. Well, in this particular court case, the whole Renfrew sales lady who claimed the cost of luxury clothing for several years as employment expenses. And her role in the business was to convince clients to purchase a high-end branded clothes that she bought, and she's on commission as well. Now, as an accountant, when we help our clients claim the employment expenses, we always ask them for a form called T2200, which is the form that the employee issue to acknowledge that the employee must incur certain expenses related to their employment. Unfortunately, this particular taxpayer, this sales lady at Hope Renfrew, did not have a signed copy of the T2200 form issued by her employer. And typically under this scenario, if we aren't able to obtain the T2200, we would advise the client do not claim the expenses to begin with. I'm not really sure how she filed her tax return or she chose to take her own risk. Typically, we chose not to. We'll recommend to our clients, don't claim your employment expenses if you don't have the T2200 form. Now, during the audit, she asked the employer to sign that T2200 forms, and the employer refused. The employer basically said, well, even if I issued you the form, it would have said that we didn't require you to incur any clothing expenses. Now, in order for the taxpayer to meet the employment expense deduction criteria, there are 2 pillars that she must meet. Number 1, there is a real requirement in her employment terms to pay for the clothing herself. This must be more than a dress code or a wish to look professional. Number 2, she must have a signed T2200 form before she filed her tax return. The form should be obtained when she prepared the return and kept with records. Now, no T2200 likely means that she would not be qualified to claim the expense. Now, what could have happened but didn't happen? The taxpayer received a taxable clothing allowance on an annual basis to purchase clothes for the purpose of employment. In my opinion, this is really a signal that the employer agreed that there is a need for the purpose of wearing nice clothes. Otherwise, they wouldn't have provided the clothing allowance to begin with. And this amount has already been included as part of her T4. So if this particular client is my client, I would have asked her to go back to her employer and mention to her employer that they could issue the T2200 form and indicating on them that they would require her to wear nice clothes, but also indicate the amount of allowance that they provided to her for the purpose of employment. And on the T2200 form, the employer could have easily specified that she's receiving an allowance. Now, what would happen on her tax return is that because the clothing allowance has already been included as part of her T4 income, the expenses with the eligible T2200 form, she would then be eligible to claim that particular clothing expenses and use that to offset against the clothing allowance she's received and lower her taxes. So what are the key takeaways in this particular situation for clothing expenses? For small business owner out there, deduct protective gear, true uniforms that are required on shift, and customer swag. Logos, branded logos do not automatically turn normal clothing into a tax deduction. Sorry about that. Employees out there, you need a real requirement in your employment terms and assign T2200 before you file your taxes and claim those expenses. If you do not have the T2200 form, it means that there is no tax deductions. If you like our video today, make sure you give us a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button below so that you can stay on top of the latest tax tips. If you have any questions about clothing deduction, uniform and swag policy for your team to follow, make sure that you comment below and I'll try my best to get back to you. Until next time, thank you for watching.